Hey guys, I'm here today with a Brave Phantom Knight deck profile. I'm going to go through what I'm currently playing, what I would personally change based on me playing the deck for a little while, and go through my reasoning on why I'm playing some cards and not others. But we can go ahead and get into the profile. All right. So I'll start off with the main deck and kind of go in order a little bit. So first off, I am playing 3 Forbidden Droplet. It's pretty mandatory for this deck. You pretty much need to play this. If you're trying to go a little bit more budget, then you could technically run like, I guess 3 Forbidden Chalice or Dark Ruler. Probably Forbidden Chalice is better than Dark Ruler currently. But again, that's up to you. Also, I apologize about the backwards camera angle. I do have a stand coming in that will kind of face it the other way so that you can see it as I see it, which I think would be a lot better. Next, for the adventure token, we have 3 Water Enchantress, 3 Right, 1 Wandering, 1 Draco back, and 1 Faithful Adventure. I think this is pretty standard. Technically, you could cut the Draco back if you wanted to, but I really think that it does come up and can be extremely useful, especially for bouncing stuff like Mystic Mine or weird threats that you might face. Or even like Skill Drain, it could pop Skill Drain, which is nice. But I think that's pretty standard. I think you're going to see that in most decks. So I don't think there's anything weird there. Next, we'll go into the Phantom Knight package. So I have 3 Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. That's super standard. Also, if you haven't, hope you didn't notice, but I only have 1 Starlight. The rest are all just secret rares. Oh, but the Starlights do look nice. Unfortunately, I picked mine up when I was going to pick them up slowly because I really wanted to play this deck max rarity. But after I got the first one, it was like only a couple of weeks afterwards that it like spiked to like $250, which is just too expensive for that card. Next is going to be 3 Silent Boots. That's pretty standard as well. You could run 2 if you wanted to. I just think it's a really good card to draw as an extender. Like if you happen to draw your Torn Scales and the boots, that's going to get you to Cherubini. So it's really, I think, a really good card to play at 3. I guess it also depends too, like if you want to fit hand traps, which is something that I'm going to probably have to reevaluate because now that hand traps are coming back and are pretty good, I don't really have any hand traps except for Ghost Ogre. So if I want to play Ash or Effect Failures, I'm going to need to maybe like cut down on some extenders. I do have like Droll and stuff in my side deck, but at the same time, I think like you pretty much need to be main decking them. You don't need to. I think this deck's still strong enough where you'd be okay. But for optimal play, like I feel like most decks need to be playing at least a few hand traps. But next is going to be Ancient Cloak at 2. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out where you can see it best. I think that's most optimal. You don't really want to open this card, but if you kind of want to play 2 because it's going to help you later in the game to dump it. If you need to dump another one, like say off of not Torn Scales, off of what's it called? Rusty Bardiche, yeah. It's just a good extender to have in the deck, and also not the worst to draw, really, especially if you draw Silent Boots. But yeah, it doesn't really matter, I guess, if you draw that versus Torn Scales in your opening hand. Like if you're going to get into your adventure token package, because you can't use normal summon effects anyways with your adventure package. And then for the rest of the Phantom Knights monsters, we're playing 1 Ragged Gloves and 1 Stained Graves. Stained Graves is probably going to get cut to add more hand traps, to be honest. So this is not optional. You really need this card, but the Stanggrave is probably going to get cut because it's really just an extender, and I have other extenders I can play. And then for the Phantom Knight traps, we have 1 Shade Brigandine, and then 3 Fogblade. And like I said, I would probably cut 1 Fogblade if you want to play more hand traps, but it's up to you. This card's also really good with Skill Drain running around or with Forbidden Droplets or any of those cards, because if they shut down or even Dark Rule, if they shut down your monster effects, at least you still have these to prevent them from getting their monster effects off. Oh, by the way, this is a 42 card main deck. When I was playing Dragoon, I was playing this at 45, or yeah, it was just Phantom Knights, Phantom PK Fire, I would say. With Dragoon, I was playing at 45 to 46 cards because you really don't want to see that Red Eyes or Dark Magician in your hand. But you really don't want to see your like DPE stuff in your hand either. But I think if you want to cut it down to 40 cards, you definitely could. But then again, you're going to be playing, depends on what you want to play and how many hand traps you want to play as well. But I definitely wouldn't go over 42 cards. I think 40 to 42 is probably proper for this version. And then also it's because when you're playing like PK Fire, you're playing a lot more bricks that you don't want to draw. Like you definitely don't want to draw any of your Burning Abyss stuff. So I think that's kind of important. But yeah, I'm playing at 42 cards right now, and I probably will adjust slightly for hand traps, but I'll let you know as I'm going through like what cards you can cut and play hand traps, and you can decide what hand traps you think are best. Next is the Dpe package. You got 2 Fusion Destiny, 1 Celestial, 1 Plasma. This is going to be Dasher. I just haven't picked up Dasher yet. So actually just count this as a Dasher. I just don't have mine yet. And then I kind of include this with that package, but Artifact Scythe. Not too much explanation needed here. Playing Fusion Destiny at 2 because it's pretty good to draw. Really not a bad card to draw, and it just lets you build a bigger board really, because you don't have to commit to Verte. So really not a bad card to draw. I would probably play it at 3 if I was able to. And Scythe, don't need to explain what's going on there. And then we're going to kind of get into some extenders that I play, and these are probably going to cut down, or at least on the chopping block for potentially playing more hand traps. But we have 2 Spell Striker, 2 Kagamuchinite, 1 Psychic Tracker, 1 Psychic Wheel Eater, and 2 Emergency Teleport. These aren't all the extenders, but these are kind of the majority of what I would call extenders. Obviously, the Emergency Teleport is super good, helps you get into your Psychic Wheel Eater. I guess I will include this as well. So here's the Ghost Ogre that goes along with the Emergency Teleport. Just really good. Even if you don't need an extender, if you set your Emergency Teleport, what you can do is activate on your opponent's turn, special summon the Ghost Ogre. And I think a lot of people forget that you can activate the effect from the field, so you can trip it itself in the field to destroy a card if it activates its effect. So that's like another interruption that you can do. And that does come up, not too often, but it does come up. Kagamuchinite, just a strong card. If you draw that plus any of your level 3 Phantom Knights, then you're in good shape to go into Cherubini. Spell Striker, super good because you can banish your Rite of Eremacir to special summon itself. You don't have to dedicate a normal summon or anything. Just a good extender to have. And then the last 2, Reinforcement of the Army, just helps you search any of your Phantom Knight monsters. And then Foolish Burial, also really good to get any card that you need to the graveyard, whether that be the Adventure Token engine or your Phantom Knight engine. But that's going to round out the main deck. And then for the extra deck, I'm playing 2 Levier the Sea Dragon. Just a super good card. Helps you recycle your resources from your banish zone. And just kind of helps you. It's really a necessity for your combos, and can help later in the game. So you're usually like you'll use one turn 1, but then you'll need another one later if you get into a grind game. Next is the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, and your Predator Planet Verte Anaconda and Artifact Dagda. That goes along with, of course, the Dpe package. Destroyer Hero Phoenix Enforcer is just really strong in this deck. Next is Cherubini, which is like going to pretty much always be your opening play when you get into your after you get through your adventure token play. And then I've also played Appaloosa, Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche. I think those, I'm sure you know what Rusty does if you're familiar with this deck, but it's just super strong, helps you get to dumps a Phantom Knights card to your graveyard and then sets one Speller Trap, a Phantom Knight Speller Trap. One Link Spider. This can like convert your adventure token to an effect monster basically that you can link into Appaloosa or whatever if you want to. But it's also like if you get nibbed, which is pretty common, you can use this to kind of extend your plays. But I'd say mainly you have protection against nib with your adventure package. But if they use multiple hand traps that are going to be devastating, then it is nice. It's just nice to have. Also, you also can use this for your what is it called? Yeah, I think most oftenly it comes up for the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine. Yep, so you summon as a normal monster. So if you want to link into Dagda or something, you need to link this off or Link Spider. I forgot that's pretty much the most common use. Okay. So the next 2 I will talk about, but they'll probably change. This will probably get changed out for like access code and probably like Nightmare Phoenix or something. But these were definitely really good when I was playing PK Fire. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I want to play the deck, but these don't really come up. I would say the majority of the time that I do summon these, it's actually later game. Like if I get stuck in a grind game, and it's because I'm kind of dwindling on options. Even though it is a super strong card, you're just never really going to make this turn 1. You can, but it's not probably the most optimal play to go. And I think access code is just a lot better for helping you kind of push for game. But I guess I will say too, Utopic Future can be really good too. Help get rid of problems on the board. Next is one Zeus. That's pretty self-explanatory. You're playing a lot of Exceed monsters. Even if you're taking these 2 out, you still have 2 Levier. And then you also have 2 Break Sword. So usually I would go into Zeus with Break Sword. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really strong card for this deck, like it is with any deck that plays Exceeds cards. And then next is going to, or last is going to be the Dark Charmer. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to play for the last card. There are other cards I'm sure you can play. You can play more Nightmares or whatever, but this card's really good, especially in mirror matches or matches where someone's playing DPE. You can steal their DPE, and that's like, I mean, you pretty much can push your game with that. That's pretty much it. I guess I can kind of tell you, I don't really have my side deck together, but I think I have some of it together. So for what I have together, I have them together, I think, in my binder, so I can show you. But we're playing 3 to draw. 2 cosmic, 1 called by. Move these over a little bit. Try to make it look neat. These will probably change because I was playing these as a play set, but then I just kind of dissected my side deck to play in other decks. But I do have 1 anti-spell fragrance, which I would probably honestly not play now. It's just not very good, but that is an option. Ghost Spell is also something I was playing as a 1 of in the extra deck, or not extra deck, side deck. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's around 7 cards. 8 if you include the anti-spell fragrance, which I don't, because I'm gonna take that out. That was mainly when Drytron was really strong, but I guess you could still tag that in as 2 or 3 copies of if you want something that's going to deal with Sky Strikers, which is probably about to come into the format very soon, or it's in the format, but it's probably going to be a lot stronger. But as far as like with the rest I play, it's going to be usually be 3 impermanents, which takes you to 10, then 3 evenly matched, which takes you to 13, and then 2 Nibiru. I usually just don't like playing Nibiru, like unless I'm siding him to go second. But the reason I don't really like it for this format is because it's just kind of, if someone has their adventure token package on board, then it's pretty much useless. I guess the only thing that you can really use it for is just to bait that negate out, so you don't have to deal with it later. But the side deck is up to you. You can choose what you want to play in there. You can play Harpy's Feather Duster if you want instead of the anti-spell fragrance. Completely up to you. But if I was going to, I guess we can go back and say which cards you could cut from the main deck to play more hand traps, because I think that is an important consideration. I would say, so these are options. This is an option. Where'd it go? Oh, and one of these would be an option. So I will say with these, you wouldn't want to cut both of these, or at least not all together. Like if you wanted to keep like maybe 1 of each or 2 of each, that would be fine. But I would probably cut 2 total from this pile, and then you can just cut these, and that's going to give you that's 6 cards. So that's basically 2 play sets of hand trap set of your choice. So probably Effect Veiler and Ash, or Imperm. But I honestly don't think Imperm is like super good right now, but it's going to be good, I think, pretty soon. But up to you. You can also play Ghost Spell. That's pretty good as well, or even Lancia. But completely up to you. I will probably end up playing Ash and Effect Veiler, I imagine. But other than that, I hope that's helpful for you. I guess I will say, as far as how expensive the deck is going to be, you can definitely make the Phantom Knight stuff has all been reprinted as commons, so that you can get really cheap. And some of them even have hollow upgrades that are like under $1, like the Ragged Gloves. But what will get expensive is your Torn Scales. I know it's not expensive because it did get reprinted as ultra rare, so it's like $3.50 a piece, I think. Fog Blades, I think you can get them as cheap as $3 for the common if you want. The secrets do look really nice, but I think they're still a good bit expensive. I don't think as expensive as they were like 25 at one point. I think I did say to pick them up when they were like $12, and they went like to 25 afterwards. But trying to think, other than that, like the staples like Foolish Burial, Reinforcement of the Army, Ghost Ogres, like those are, you can mostly get cheap copies of those. E-Tellies are going to be really cheap because you can get the rares. The Psychic cards like Psychic Wielder and Psychic Tracker are decently cheap. I think Psychic Wielder might be $3. It might have a rare actually, so it might not be. Artifact Scythe is a few bucks. The Fusion Destiny package has come down a little bit, but not by much. It's still going to run you, I think, altogether probably $30 to $35 as far as just like your main deck cards, which is like your Celestial, Dasher, and then your Fusion Destinies. Shade Brigandine is, I know it's kind of, they have a common print out of the OTS pack, but it's still like $3 or $4. Trying to think what else. The Adventure package is definitely going to be where you hit a brick wall as far as cost. Your ultra rare is only like $1. The rare obviously is like 10 cents, and the super rare doesn't cost anything, but you are looking at 60 to 65 each for the Rite of Eremsir, and around like 50 to 55 each for the Water Enchantress. And then after that, of course, like droplets are going to be expensive, but like I said, if you wanted to, you could trade them out for something else. But as far as like the adventure package, like that's going to be really expensive no matter how you cut it. If you wanted to play Phantom Knights, there's other versions you can play that are cheaper, like the Phantom PK Fire version, which is what I was playing before. That you're definitely gonna be playing more hand traps, and then you just have a couple of BA cards, but the deck profile doesn't change too much. You could still play that version and still make your Scythe Lock and DP and stuff. The only problem is you don't have any kind of protection from hand traps, which is why Phantom Knights never really could break through the glass ceiling of tier 1 before. So you're definitely going to still have that issue. That's kind of where the adventure token like takes this deck to the next level. And then as far as extra deck, the Dark Charmer, I mean, it's like maybe a little under $1. Your Zeus you can get for around 15 for the ultra rare. Break Swords, I think, have a super rare printing now, and maybe even a common printing, but those are extremely cheap. Like I said, I would probably cut these two and play Access Code and like Nightmare Phoenix, or maybe even something else. I don't know, maybe like a Masquerena, but I probably wouldn't continue to play this unless you're going with the PK Fire version, which is just you're gonna make this a lot easier. And then Link Spiders are cheap, a couple of dollars. You can get these ultra rare Rusty Bardiches, which look pretty decent for like 75 cents. Apollosa is kind of a little bit costlier. You're definitely, if you want to get like the secret rare, you're going to be looking at like probably $35 to $40, I imagine. Cherubini, you can get the ultra rare for I think like $5 or $6, and I think the secret has actually come down now too. It's even like $10 to $14. Dagdas I think are like maybe $5 or $6. I haven't checked on that card in a while. Leviers are really cheap. You can get like the super rares or the commons for like a couple dollars. I have one of the ultimate rares, which looks really, really good. One of my favorite cards. And then an ultra rare, which looks okay too. The super rares really don't look bad either. I think those are like $5. And then your next biggest thing is going to be a Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, and well, Verte you can get like $7 for a gold rare. But all in all, this is probably one of the most expensive decks out right now. So I think you definitely need to keep that in mind. And it's definitely something that could be hit on a ban list soon, which is really sad for me because this is my favorite deck. Just seems to happen to me whenever I build a deck, like 7 months later, it becomes like the best deck in the game. Not that it is right now, base definitely is, but it was considered the best deck. for a couple of weeks, and it still is considered like one of the best decks. But yeah, I think if you're gonna build this deck out how I've got it built, you're definitely looking at over $1,000. And I think that's on the cheaper end if you're not getting the higher rarity stuff. You can definitely cut some costs by going with lower rarity stuff for sure, definitely for sure. But that's up to you. If I don't know that it's necessarily the greatest investment to go into the core now. I think it's kind of a little bit too late. I would maybe wait later or wait and see what happens with the ban list. I think more likely than not, we'll see Scythe go. Even though it's going to be printed, or most likely going to be printed in the structure deck for Albaz. It might not be because they got theirs a lot earlier, and we don't really have our full list yet for ours, but they got Scythe in theirs. But I kind of think, I'm starting to think that maybe that'll be missing and they'll ban it on the next ban list. It just doesn't make sense. Usually they won't let like an extra deck lock go for multiple formats. So hopefully that they will go. I'm playing the deck and I hope that they ban it, just because it's you kind of have to play it because other people are going to use it against you. So you kind of have to secure those games, but it just makes the game less fun in general. So I'm hoping that it goes and that we can get back to the drawing table about kind of reinventing this deck. Other than that, let me know if what decks you guys are playing in the format. I can switch it back to the other camera. I was gonna say, other than that, let me know what decks you guys are playing this format, and what decks you're interested in playing, and what do you expect the format will look like once we see that the Albaz stuff come out. But thanks for watching.